All right, welcome back to the show. It's your boy, and I am here once again to talk about some more sports going on. AKA, today it's the NFL. The NBA season is coming up, and we'll get into that a little bit. Probably next week a little more after things get rolling, a couple games get played. We can see what's going on with the guys, but right now, today, I'm here to talk about week 7 in the NFL. And man, well, first off, there was a lot of teams bye weeks this week. So it was a little like, let's see how many teams we got on bye week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams on bye week. So no Bengals, no Cowboys, no Titans, no Jets, no Panthers, no Texans. But that didn't stop this week from being a pretty good week. Pretty solid week, you know. Let's just start Thursday night. Oh man, Thursday night. Where do I start? The Jaguars beat the Saints 31-24. And the Saints, let's start with the Jags. The Jags were bad. Okay? Let me check everything out here. Trevor Lawrence, 20 for 29, 204 yards and a touchdown. 59 yards rushing. Cool. That was cool. Travis Etienne, 14 carries for 53 yards. Nothing to write home about. What they have? They had 2 fumbles, and those fumbles were early. Let's go here. The Jags shouldn't have won that game. In the beginning of the game, there was, I think both turnovers were in the first half. And even with the Jags playing so bad, so bad, they were still up. They were still up on the Saints. And I hate doing this, right? But being a Chiefs fan, I've seen Derek Carr a million times, right? Watched Derek Carr's whole career for the Raiders, and, you know, playing against him twice a year. Derek Carr was never a quarterback to be afraid of. We pretty much, I mean, consensus around the league was he was Mr. Checkdown, right? He was the new version of Alex Smith, but, you know, something I will rarely do, I will give Alex Smith a little bit of credit. He was better than Derek Carr was, okay? So let's just get that out the way. But Derek Carr, what are some points about Derek? Derek Carr doesn't want to throw the ball deep. He never really was a deep threat guy. He would do it. He can do it, but he never really looked to do it all that often. Short to intermediate was what he was better at his whole time in the Raiders, and that's kind of spilled over here into the Saints. But he's older and just declining, if we're being completely honest. And one of his real hang-ups was red zone interceptions. And just struggling in the red zone in general. And that was on full 100% display in this Jaguars game, where it was just bad. Let me look see what their red zone efficiency was in this game. Red zone, 2 for 5 in the red zone. That pretty much sums it up. Derek Carr is really bad when you need him to go deep, and really bad in the red zone. And typically, when you are calling upon him to make plays in these areas, he's going to throw a pick, and that's what he did. And even with that, they clawed their way back against the Jaguars. This is exactly why I've kind of been hesitant to throw the Jags up into the top echelon of teams. I don't remember what I had them at last week. I had them 12, so just outside the top 10. And I think that's a great place for them. They they're not an excellent defense, and with Trevor kind of struggling or middling or however you would want to look at it, I know the offensive line is banged up and all that, but it doesn't excuse how awful Trevor Lawrence has kind of been these first half of the year at this point. Same thing again. On third down, they were 2-11. So that's just a perfect example of how their season's been going. It's a big thing I've been worried about. I don't know exactly what it is. For some reason, they don't really target Calvin Ridley a lot, and I wonder if it's just one of those things of something I'll talk about later with the Eagles, with the Bengals, is just target your guy. Like, you got a guy, you got Calvin Ridley sitting right there. Target him more. He's your best player, essentially. Let's see what he got. 4 targets, 1 catch, 5 yards. That's not enough. Like, Trevor Lawrence just going to Christian Kirk time and time again is not going to get it done for you against good teams. The Saints are not a good team. And it's just simple as that. Their record is 500, and they're not a good team. This is a bad team. This was a weird game. I would put this in for the Jags. This definitely goes in the bad win category. Like, when you go back, you really have to look at people's wins, and I'll get to that later also with another team that lost. But there's teams that have good wins against good teams, and there are teams that have bad losses, and there's also the vice versa, bad wins and good losses. You could say, oh, there's no such thing as moral victories, and blah, 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 but these things do mean something in the grand scheme of things. We can't just, any given Sunday is cool, but when you dive into a more in-depth look at stats and what is really happening, the game within the game, you can watch the game and see things with the eye test, and you can also learn things from diving into the statistics. And I think that's the thing here with the Jags is the Jags were number one coming into this game. They were number one in takeaways. So that sounds cool. That sounds great. But also, I think they were bottom 5. They were a bottom team when it comes to third down conversion. So your defense can give you a short field all they want. If you can't convert on the money downs, on third down, on fourth down, and keep drives alive, getting that short field means nothing at all. So, especially, let's see. No, they kicked 1 field goal the whole game. That's the other thing, is that you're getting takeaways and you're not coming away with field goals isn't a good sign for the Jags. But they come away with the dub. Derek Carr's washed up. Sorry, Saints fans. Everybody every AFC West fan knew that Derek Carr was washed up. It was over. He is an below average starter at this point. Right? He was always kind of middling and average and just not an exceptional quarterback, and now it's just getting worse with age, and you can see it. He's yelling guys on the sideline. That was weird that you can't play that terrible all game and then like yell at your guys. Like, you can't do that, Derek Carr. You got to relax, man. But let's see. Oh yeah, Derek Carr, QBR 37, pass rating 73. Not good. Not good. Yep. So it was a weird game, but the Jags come away. They're 5-2, but that's a 5-2 I do not trust. So let's get, what is the next game? The next game I want to talk about is another team that got a win that I refuse to trust, and that is the New England Patriots, beating the Buffalo Bills, who were 8, almost 9-point favorites going into this game. A lot of people said, watch out, watch out, watch out. I didn't believe them. In my mind, there was absolutely no way that the Bills go into this game and lose. Mac Jones on a shit streak, on a shit-stained underwear, whitey-tighty underwear streak of just bad game after bad game after bad game, throwing picks, throwing the ball away, just being generally awful, right? And That didn't happen. That didn't happen this game. Mac Jones was really on top of everything, and Josh Allen just, you never know what you're gonna get out of Josh Allen. One day, it's a gourmet Michelin star steak, just the top of the line, just the most amazing meal you could ever have. And then some days he's McDonald's. If you're starving, this will help, right? If you're starving, a double cheeseburger and a couple and a small fry, that'll help you get it's a meal, it's edible. Then there are times where Josh Allen is dog shit, is kitty litter, is unedible, just shit. No other way around it. There's no other word I could use for it. There are times where he is just bad, bad, bad. This didn't happen to be one of those times where he was bad, bad, dog shit bad. He was just blah. He was McDonald's today. Or Sunday, excuse me. He was McDonald's. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. He did enough to win you a game. This is a performance that could possibly win you a game. But the problem here isn't Josh Allen. Usually I would dog on Josh Allen a little bit, jump on the Bills. I'm not going to do that. The main issue here is the defense. The defense has multiple injuries. Let me look it up here, because it's bad. So let's go. Bills injury status. We have Trey White, obviously, out. Matt Milano, out. Daquan Jones, out. Ed Oliver, out. So, we talking about Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, Trey White. Those are you add Jordan Poyer in there, those are your best defensive players. They're missing their best defensive players, and it's showing. You couldn't stop a Pats team who scored 6 points. How many points have they scored this year? 17? Did they? Let me see. I gotta go look. They have scored a combined 37, 47, 50. Coming into this game, in 1, 2, 3, 4, in 6 weeks, they scored 50 points. 67 points. Not great. Coming off a 0-3-10 streak of games, or 15, excuse me, because they won that game. Yeah, so 15, 3, 0, and 17 is what they've put up this year. They came into this game scoring 20 once, and somehow you let them put up almost 30 points. It's not good. I hate to do this to the Bills. I don't think that Josh Allen is a force multiplier. He is not a player that can lift a below average team up to being a great team. I think there's only, if we're being honest, I really believe it's really 1.5. If we're being honest, it's Pat, and then it's kind of Joe Burrow. Kind of, but you could make the argument that his team wasn't that bad. It was just, you had a bad O-line, but you had not when he first came in, that was bad. But you get Jamar Chase, and you have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and P. Ryan and Joe Mixon and all those guys. He had a pretty decent offense, so that's why I give him the half point, because you had offensive side of the ball was pretty good. Lou Anarumo is a top defensive coordinator in the league. And you came into a situation that was a little sketch, and you've elevated that team. On the other hand, you have Josh Allen, who comes into, if I remember correctly, they were a playoff team just before that, or when they drafted Josh Allen, they were floating around the playoffs, floating around 500. And you come in there and you take a couple years to get rolling, and you become a good team. I think this is more of the case of the team being good, or being really good, and then adding a really good quarterback to that makes you a great team. The problem with that is they are right now one of the teams who are strapped for cash, essentially, right? And the reason I said I hate doing this is because I really think if the Bills can't be good this year, I don't know when they'll be able to be good again, because their salary cap situation is really bad. It's really bad because we can take a look here. Buffalo Bills. Let's see. They have $1 million in cap space. I would love to see what happens. How do I get to next year? Yeah. So next year, oh God. Next year, their estimated cap space is negative $33 million. So they're over the cap by $33 million at the beginning of next year. It's bad. It's bad. I think this is it. I think they're in a spot right now where they are going to have to do some real evaluating. You lose to the 1-5 Patriots, who've been struggling to score 20 points, and they put up 30 on you. Josh Allen has a average game, and you can't beat one of the worst teams in the league this year. It's a problem. Now, you could say the defense shit the bed. The defense is missing their best players. I think that definitely would make a difference if you had the 3 of your best players playing the entirety of a game. But what does this say for the future of the Bills? And it's bad. I think they might be a team that's in maybe the worst position over the next 2 to 3 years. Because what do? Is it time to begin to rebuild? Do you start a rebuild now with the Bills after all this success and everything that's been going on? Do you just hit the reset button now and just tell Josh Allen, just, hey, bud, just hold on there. We're going to start this rebuild now. That way in 2 or 3 years, we have a chance to be back in the mix of things and get everything going. But with the way these contracts are right now, like, I don't even know what that means. I really don't know what that means for this team, man. Because let's look at the cap. Who's their highest cap hits next year, 2024? Josh Allen making $47 million. Stephon Diggs making $27. Von Miller making $23. Trey White, who's hurt again, making $16. He's probably. No, he's not the most cuttable. The most cuttable person you have on here is your left tackle, Deion Dawkins, making $15 million, with a $7 million in dead cap. If you cut him, Teron Johnson making $12 million, Matt Milano making $12 million, Dawson Knox, like you've got like none of this. When I'm saying it out loud now, looking at it, it really doesn't make sense when you think about where all their cap is going. All their cap is going to Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and Von Miller. And that makes up, what is this? 19 plus 30, 39, 40%-ish, 40-something percent of their cap is going to Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Von Miller. And guess what? It's not going to get it done. That is simply not going to get it done. I think the only option that the Bills kind of have here is start the rebuild, trade Stephon Diggs, and just start rebuilding. Because I don't know how you get off the Von Miller contract. I don't know who's going to take a, 33, 34-year-old defensive end that you gave a 6-year deal to. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 more years on this deal. Whew. With a cap hit of next year's 23, the year after that's 23, the year after that's 26, and the year after that is 32. So after next year, they have a potential out where they could get out, and instead of having, $30 million in dead money, it's 15. So you trade Stephon Diggs, you get out from the Von Miller contract after the end of next year, and you just hope that you can build up enough assets and draft well enough that in 2 or 3 more years you're back in the mix again. Because this game, I haven't even been talking about this game because it just didn't make any sense that Patriots beat the Bills and dropped 30. Because if you look, what happened? They didn't run particularly well. You know, Mac Jones had the best game he's had all year. You know, Josh Allen lost a fumble, but the Patriots lost a fumble. Like, what? There's nothing really, let's see, anything statistically stick out that makes it seem pretty crazy. Let's see, penalties, it's about the same. Just a pick and a fumble. That's it. Pick and a fumble, and, you know, third down efficiency was pretty good. Fourth down efficiency was pretty good. They just literally just couldn't get it done. I watched part of this game, like the second half, and it just looked like the Bills just looked like a team who's just spinning their wheels. Like, we're just rolling out here and just going to try to beat you the same way we beat everybody, and it just didn't work. The Patriots got them. Shout out to Bill. That's win 300 on the Buffalo Bills. Crazy game. I personally think Bills, it's time to shut it down. It's time to start the rebuild. Just trade Stephon Diggs and try to get out from Von Miller and free up some cap space, get some young talent around Josh Allen, because I don't know what you do. If you go another 2 or 3, if you go 2 to 3 more years like this, you will have wasted the potential of Josh Allen's career. Simple as that. So, next game I want to talk about. Oh, man. Where do I start here? Let's just start with the score. Always. It's the easiest way to start, right? The Ravens played the Lions and beat them 38-6. Now, if I remember correctly, I can look. It was 28-0 at the half. The Lions didn't get a first down, I think, until right before halftime. It was bad. Lamar Jackson, 21 for 27, 357 in the air, 3 touchdowns. That's got to be a perfect quarterback rating. He was awesome. He didn't really do it with his legs. He did a little bit. I think he ran one in. So that's 4 touchdowns on the day. And they just outclassed the Lions. Now, I brought this up last week when I was talking, but the Lions, if we go look, the Lions, outside of the Chiefs win, all the rest of their games, all the rest of their wins, I should say, because they lost to the Seahawks, all the rest of their wins were not against good teams. They weren't. Simply weren't. If I remember correctly, it's like the Panthers, it's the Bucks, it's, let's see, yeah, Falcons, Packers, Panthers, Bucks. So 3 of your 5 wins were against NFC South teams, probably the worst division in football, and the Packers, who I'll get to Jordan Love at some point, but I just can't. They got Jordan Love right now. Come on now. But they get stomped. They got stomped. Plain and simple. It was a stomping. Now, more about just the game before I get into my next point. They blitzed a lot, which made no sense to me. This gets into the point I want to make about this Ravens game. But all knowledge on Lamar Jackson up to this point really should tell you, just drop 7, drop 8, maybe spy him every once in a while with a safety or somebody fast enough to try to keep up with him. Nobody's really fast enough to keep up with Lamar just straight on, but you know, you can have people that are comparable in the secondary specifically. Either way, drop 8. Well, it's tough because you don't want them to run, but I think that's how you beat the Ravens. We've seen it. Now let me just get here. Everybody, now this is a bad game from the Lions, sure. But I think, and I knew this was coming. I said it last week to Daniel after this game. I said it. I knew it was going to happen. And it immediately, Monday morning, some of the first things that I read, some of the first things that I listened to and watched, they did it right away. Are the Ravens the best team in the AFC? I even heard the best team in the NFL. Okay? Is Lamar Jackson the MVP? Simply put, no. Lamar Jackson is not the MVP. He is not the best quarterback in the league. The Ravens are not the best team in the league. The Ravens are not the best team in the AFC. They're not the second best team in the AFC. Maybe they're the third, fourth best team in the AFC. But my problem is, before I get too deep, if the Ravens are a top team in the league, if they're the best team in the AFC, if they're over the Chiefs, let's say you believe that the Ravens are the best team in the AFC, what does that mean for the Steelers, who just beat them last week and Lamar was awful? Because I feel like I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this, and they kind of just, well, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, they kind of just skip over the parts where Lamar has been bad, where he's been really bad. So I would just want to go back and look through this, because I think there's a deeper thing here to me, where we're doing this thing where because he had one amazing game. Now, even last week was a pretty good game, but let's just go back through the past, what is it? Where are we on? Week 7, okay? Let's just go back through and look what Lamar did last week. What did Lamar do last week? Okay. He threw for 223 yards, and he ran for 62 yards. He had a tud and a pick. Okay, cool. That is, to me, that's the quintessential Lamar Jackson game. Maybe throw in a rushing touchdown to that. But 13 carries, 62 yards, 21 of 30, 223 yards. That a touchdown and a pick. To me, that is Lamar's middle ground. Cool. That was last week. They win by 1 score. Okay, good win, good game. Now let's go look at the Ravens-Steelers game. 236, 1 pick, 6 carries for 45 yards. Now, this is what happens. No touchdowns. You get a pick, you get a fumble, and you lose to the Steelers on a last-second touchdown from Kenny Pickett to George Pickens. And it was bad. They didn't execute. They struggled. They struggled to convert third downs, if I remember correctly, which to me is a big sign that things aren't going great. Yeah, 5 for 14 on third down. It's not awful. It's not good. But 3 turnovers as a team, not great. Let's see. Colts. Let me go back and look at this. This was the other game that they lost. Lamar, 22 for 31, 200 yards. No pick, no touchdown, but he had 14 carries and 101 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. That sounds cool till you realize that he fumbled twice, and they lose the game. The Texans game, where, okay, this was game 1 of the year. Cool. You got new receivers. You got a new system. It's probably going to be a tad bit of a struggle, all right? But guess what? 2 fumbles and a pick. Okay? I don't want to rain on the Lamar Jackson parade. Do I think Lamar is a great quarterback? He's very good. That's what I would say. Lamar is a very good starting NFL quarterback. And to me, he has paved the way for the mobile quarterback, like the quarterback back in the day where they would try to make him a receiver, make him a running back. Lamar broke through that barrier and proved that guys like this, black men who aren't traditionally starting NFL quarterbacks, can come in right away, make a difference, and be good, very good quarterbacks, great quarterbacks. The problem with Lamar, I feel like, is he hasn't gotten better. And so there's a lot of talk about the MVP, the MVP, the MVP. And I think that everything, like, the media has a tendency, and I guess I'm in the media now, but I'm being on the other side. Because before I would just absorb the information, right? I would just take in all the media frenzy and decide myself and discern how I felt and what I've seen with my own eyes and everything, and always felt like I had a unique perception when it comes to sports with some things, right? And I feel like that's what's happening right now, where I don't think I did last week with Daniel or before that, but I had a topic written down that's what's wrong with the Ravens, and going through everything and how there's this kind of false narrative or idea that Lamar Jackson is just playing at some crazy higher level than he ever has been, or he's back to being Lamar, or he's taking it up a level with his passing. And to me, it's just simply not the truth. The real thing here is that since the MVP run, well, specifically, I should say the MVP run was 2018, right? Or 2019, whatever it was. It was 4 to 5 years ago. The last 2 years, he's been hurt. He's been dealing with the contract stuff. And a couple of years before that, in between the year or two in between the MVP and these last 2 years where he's been hurt, he was really good. And I think what a lot of people are missing is we're excited to see Lamar Jackson get back to who he is and not be worried about injury, not be worried about the contract, but just playing at the high level we know he can. The problem with that is that it's hyperbole to say he's the MVP, he's the best quarterback in the league right now. His team is the best team in the league or whatever, because from looking at it, from watching it, they have been bad at throwing the ball. It has not been good. I just talked about this on the Thursday pod. What did I have? They turn the ball over too much. They can't hold on to the ball to squeeze out some of these closer wins, and they're basically bottom 5 in all the passing statistics. And I think it's just rose-colored glasses because we want Lamar to be good. We want Lamar to be back to who he was, and I think he is back to that. The problem with that is I don't think that guy is somebody that can beat at their peak power. If everybody's at their peak powers, I don't think that's a person that can beat a Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert at their peaks also. I think still now, does he make better reads? Sure. He's reading the field better than he was before? Sure. So let's look at this. Even with the outburst that they just had with 357 yards passing, in attempts they're 30th in passing. So they passed the ball the third least of any team. Yards, they're 16. Touchdowns, they're 18. Interceptions, they're third. So they're throwing the least amount of interceptions, but you're also throwing the ball the least out of most teams. Rushing, wow, look at that. Fourth in attempts, fourth in yards, third in touchdowns, top 10 in yards per attempt. Now, so to me, it's like there's this weird facade that the Ravens' passing game has taken another step, or Lamar as a passer has taken this next step, and it's just simply not true. The real difference here is they're not running designed runs as often or at all, really. They're saying, Lamar, drop back and throw it, and if it's not there, just run. And that's what he's doing, and he's been extremely successful at that this year. But it's just back to the normal. I don't think he's grown as a passer or as a quarterback. I think he is what he is, and that's what he's going to be. And do I think he has the ability and he's a good enough quarterback to not have to rely on him running the ball and designed runs and forcing him to run the ball? I think you can live off of that. Do I think that him at his peak passing powers can beat some of the other guys at their peak? No. I don't see it. The fumbles, the picks, they're just at bad spots. There's just times where he misses throws that a great quarterback makes 9 times out of 10, and he's not even hitting them 50% of the time. There was a couple plays in here. Like, let me go look at some of this stuff too, because I would love to know what. So, receiving. So, Gus Edwards has the 80-yard run. Okay, cool. Zay Flowers has a 46-yard bomb. That's 120, if I remember correctly. Let's go see. I just have to see. Because Gus Edwards' run was where they blitzed and Lamar pulled it down and went. Basically, it was a broken play where they blitzed and Gus Edwards just, instead of Lamar handing it off, he rolls out just slightly and Gus Edwards just runs right past the defense and he's just wide open standing there. And to me, it's stuff like that where it's like, yeah, okay, I hate doing that, but take that away. What are we talking about? If you take that away, we're talking about a game where he has 280, which is cool. Now, see, I'm watching the play right now. Yeah. So it looked like he was supposed to hand it off. He doesn't hand it off, and he just dumps it to Gus Edwards, who, a simple 6-7 yard little throw out that he takes 80 yards. I don't know. I personally just don't see the growth in what he's doing. I feel like it's been the same thing over and over again. We still don't see Lamar throw deep to the outside. Where he's most comfortable at is throwing the ball intermediate over the middle. And is he amazing at that? Yes, he's awesome at that. But I don't think that continuing is going to take them to another level. They're not the best team in the league. They're not the best team in the AFC. Lamar is not the MVP. Do I think he can continue to do this? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't see. I have to let me look at their schedule, because that's really going to determine here how this season goes, I feel like, for them. So, let's see. Is their schedule hard? Their next games are at Arizona. And I feel like there has been this thing this year that a lot of people are talking about now, where the new hot team takes the L next week. Now, that would be a hell of a L to take to Arizona after people have been saying you're the best team in the league and Lamar's the MVP. But that's the media space we're in, where people are trying to zig, where everybody's zagging, and people are trying to be different. And in being different, people kind of all start to do the same thing, because you're trying to be so different that a lot of people have the same thoughts because they're trying to be different. Things like this, like, or we're going to jump out the window and say Lamar is the MVP now and the Ravens are the best team in the league because they beat the Lions, whose really only good win is against the Chiefs. Which just takes me back to what I've been saying, is that if beating the Chiefs means you're the best team in the league, doesn't that mean that the Chiefs are really the best team in the league? This is a pretty simple thing. Like, it's something that's, like, we didn't even have this with Brady, where it's like, oh, if you beat the Patriots, you're the Patriots now. We didn't do that. We didn't do that back then. We had these things where we hoped that teams could be good enough to knock the Patriots off. But for some reason with Pat and the Chiefs, it's the opposite of that, where if a team, so because the Ravens beat a team that beat the Chiefs, and that's their only good win against a good team, that means now that the Ravens have to be the best team in the NFL. And it's just nonsense. Like, we don't do that with anybody else, right? We wouldn't jump up and say that the Browns are not, nobody stepped up and said the Browns are the best team in the league now. Nobody did that, right? Nobody was like, the Browns are obviously the best team in the NFL. They just beat the 49ers. No, we don't do that. But we do that for teams that beat the Chiefs or whatever. We've done that for years now. We made Josh Allen the MVP coming into last year because they lost to the Chiefs a year ago. Coming into last year, Josh Allen was the man because if the kickoff rules were different, they're in the Super Bowl or whatever year that was. The year the Chiefs lost 21, I think it is, the 13 seconds game. The Bengals beat the Chiefs. Now they're the best team in the NFL. They're the best team in the AFC. And it's just this ongoing, continuing thing where if you can beat the Chiefs, or if you beat it, it's gotten to the point now where we're so just bored because of how the internet and everything is now, that we're so bored with the Chiefs that if a team that beat them, if a team that beat them loses to another team, that team is now the best team. So if you beat the Chiefs and somebody beat you, the team that beat you is the best team now because you guys beat the Chiefs. It's getting ridiculous. If you're going to make me sit here and pretend like Lamar all year has been some lights out quarterback, you're lying to yourself. It's not true. It's nonsense. He's had, what would we call it? Cleveland was a cool game because that's basically the best defense in the league. He put up 186 yards. We had one amazing game. You could argue the Colts game, they lost that game. Like, what are we talking about? Like, the Bengals game, they played the Bengals, who were one of the worst teams to watch in week 2. He beat them by 3. And then they go on to lose like their next 2 games after that. Like, So the Detroit win is a good, solid win, right? And he balled out. That's cool. But that's 1 week against one team. And that's all it is. Doesn't make them, it doesn't, consistently being put in situations that you overcome makes you great, right? And I don't see that from Lamar. Lamar, you don't know. He might be the guy that beats Detroit by 30, or he might be the guy that fumbles the ball twice and loses to the Colts, or fumbles the ball twice and loses to Pittsburgh. So I think we got to pump the brakes with the Lamar hype. We got to stop. We got to stop just anybody that can just be good or outplay a team that outplayed the Chiefs. We just make them the best team. We got to stop doing that. We got to stop doing that, right? Because it's the paper, rock, scissors that I've been talking about. Yeah, because you look at it this way, right? The Browns beat the Colts, but the Ravens beat the Browns. So who's the better team here? Exactly. It's the Ravens. They are the better team. That's why you can't do this with who beat who had a good game. Like, some of this stuff just gets crazy. If you're gonna make me pretend like I think Lamar Jackson has been the best quarterback this year, then you're trying to make me lie. You're asking me to lie, and I can't do that. They've been bad. I've been wondering what's been wrong with them. The drops. Is it Lamar? What's going on? And to me, it's just a combination of everything. Lamar's Lamar. He's going to do what he does. And I think that's probably the problem. That's where their ceiling is, where, he has not improved. He has been the same guy for 4 straight years now, and it hasn't changed, and I don't think it's going to change because they had one good game against the Lions, who have one good win under their belt against it. They have a win against a good team, one, and that's it. And that they lost that game to the Chiefs. And that's going to take me to the next one because I don't want to keep dumping on Lamar, man. You know. But people are so overzealous about all this Lamar stuff. It just makes me be like, whoa, hold on. We cannot keep doing this. Where we're throwing anybody we can at the top and just saying these guys are the best just off 1 week, one game, and all of a sudden this is the best person. This is the best quarterback in the league. Gotta stop doing that. Meanwhile, Pat puts up 424 yards passing and 29 rushing, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. You know, it was a dumb pick. It was bad. I'm not gonna bail him out for that pick. Wasn't a great throw. But the Chiefs are sitting here 6-1, 6 straight wins. They go crazy. Travis Kelce puts up 180 and Pat puts up 425 yards, and people are talking about the Ravens. What are we doing here? But that's how it is. That's how it goes with the best teams when you're in this area of being great. We're in the LeBron area of like, you just have to keep doing it over and over again. But the Chiefs beat the Chargers 31-17. The Chiefs get their swag back a little bit. You know, they got the sauce back. Travis Kelce goes crazy on National Tight Ends Day, puts up 180. I don't know how he had most of his in the first half, just like Pat. They only had 100. Pat he had 321 going into the half. That's all you need to know. And it was still close then. That's the crazy part. What was it? It was 17-24 going to the half. It was a 1-score game, and Pat put up 300 yards. But the problem is, the Chiefs' defense is really the anchor this year. And if the offense, like it did this week, can just step up and make some plays, like I've been saying, 1 or 2 splash plays, executing in the red zone, and they're back to being the same team that they've been for 5 years. What was their red zone? Today, or Sunday, 3 for 4. Like I said, red zone execution, 1 or 2 splash plays makes them go from 14 to 18 to 30 points a game. And that's why I said I'm not worried about the Chiefs. The defense is going out of their mind, and all the offense has to do is just make a couple plays. You can have most of your drives can be average. Now you got to do a couple splash plays, a couple runs, a couple Travis Kelce possessions where he just dominates the game, and this is what you get. A nearly 500 total yard game. The Chargers. At some point, we have to stop trying to bail Herbert out, right? Like, I understand Brandon Staley and the defense have been awful. It's been bad. But 17 for 30, 2 picks. What has he ended 3 straight games with an interception now? It's not looking good for Justin Herbert. I don't know what it is. All the analytics and all the nerd stats and everything says that Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks basically that's ever played in the NFL. But when you watch the games time in and time out, he just doesn't get it done when he needs to. I don't know what that is. I have some ideas, some possibilities, things like maybe he's a little too robotic with his reads, and he doesn't have enough creativity, enough, just intuition about how to play football. Like, I feel like Mahomes is the ultimate version of that, of just knowing what to do, knowing how to do it, and executing. And then Herbert there was a play last week where Herbert, I think it was either a screen or just a check down out in the flat, and it was literally catch, turn, and me watching the broadcast was like, you can't throw that. The D end is literally in your face, and the man holding him in the flat is 4 yards out. So you can zip it in there, and you're gonna get 3 yards, which that's fine in certain situations. But he threw it just straight ahead, no sidearm, no. Let me try to move out the way, create a lane for myself, like a la Russell Wilson would do. He just stood straight, turned, and threw it straight into the DN's hands. And it's stuff like that where there's just that little bit missing from Herbert, that he just doesn't have the chutzpah, the sauce. He doesn't have no sauce, right? He's just a plain chicken sandwich. There's a lot of food references. I'm hungry. I'm getting hungry. I need to eat. But he's a plain chicken sandwich. No sauce, no pickle, no nothing. Just bread and chicken. And that's great if you're starving. That's great, but sometimes you need sauce. You need a little sauce on that chicken sandwich, man. You need a pickle on there. You need a little extra. Just a little extra to make it the best. It's not the best, right? It's very good. It's service, just like Lamar. It's very good. It's not great. It's not the best. I think that's where the Herbert stuff is at right now. I don't know if maybe firing the coach would help. Getting one of the young, creative coordinators. I mean, I feel like there's not a lot just floating around right now. You got Ben Johnson for the Lions, I guess. I don't know how that helps really with Herbert's progression. I feel like he's in the same boat as Lamar, where it's just they're not getting better. They're not progressing and becoming these next level high-end quarterbacks. And that's what I've been saying these past couple weeks, is I think what we thought was a renaissance was just guys that were really good. We've got a bunch of guys that are really good. I don't think there's a lot of, and I know looking back in 5, 10, 15 years or whatever, we will probably look at this different, and these guys will be in the moonlight of their careers, and they'll be all-time greats. But right now, it's just, I don't see it. If Herbert keeps doing this, who is he? He's not Brady. He's not Manning. Is he Drew Brees? Drew Brees has a ring. So who is he? Is he Phillip Rivers? Like, who is he? Where does he rank amongst these? Is he Dan Marino? Because that's what we're talking about. No rings. But is he that good? Is he as good as Marino? That's where you start to get, where does he rank? Where does he fall? If he just stays this way for the next 5 years, is he just Phillip Rivers again? That's what I kind of have been looking at. Yeah, it's just a weird week. I know it's a very negative podcast today, but it had to be done, man. You know. So Sunday night, Eagles Dolphins. It was a close game. Really, it was kind of a close game, but it wasn't. How can I explain this? The Dolphins are a soft team. They're a basketball team, right? They want to run up and down, and they want to just avoid getting punched in the mouth. And the Eagles are the exact opposite. Their signature play is a quarterback sneak. That's what we're talking about. A team whose signature play is their quarterback getting pushed for a yard or two. So, the exact opposite. I kind of called it a call. I said Tyreek was due for a flopper, and this is kind of what I meant. I know they talk about the Patriots game, but the Patriots game, he kind of just got locked out of that game. Like, Bill Belichick schemed up a pretty good game, and they just locked him out of that game. This game, he had 2 really bad drops. He had the one drop that he kicked out of the end zone, And then he had the other, I don't remember when it was, but he had another bad drop where it was it just bounced off his hands. And that's what I mean is being a Chiefs fan, I say it all the time, being a Chiefs fan, we've seen Tyreek, we've seen what his downfall is. He's 5'8". Excuse me. He's 5'8". Can't throw him jump balls. You can't, depending on who the corner is, you can't throw a lot of contested catches because because he's moving so fast a lot of the time. The drops become exaggerated. They bounce off his hand, they bounce off his chest, they bounce off his helmet. He's going so fast that the ball just does a lot of crazy things. We've seen it over and over. Where Pat would throw it up to Tyreek and it would just bounce off his hands and fly in the air, fly right into a guy's hands. It would ricochet off him, ricochet off a shoulder pad, and it happens all the time. And I think that's what happened here is you had a couple timely misses, and that would have kept them in the game. That would have allowed them to run the ball a little more and kind of just stay in the flow of their offense. And they didn't get to do that because the Eagles, one, up front, just punched them in the mouth. And then two, on the back end, you had Tyreek kind of bobbling a lot of stuff and just, he didn't struggle to get open. It was just on timely downs. Tua would whiff. He threw the pick into, I don't know why the two receivers were right next to each other, but he threw it into almost four guys, three and a guy trailing. And just on the back end was just a lot of just bad mistakes. And I think it really all came down to the Eagles' front line on both sides, offense and defense, just came with a lunch pail and they kicked the Dolphins' teeth in. And that's their downfall. Just a hard-nosed, just kind of a strong running style team. And you can if you can withstand the scripted joints, like the scripted plays from the Dolphins, where it's like the first half, it's like they're damn near guaranteed to get a score in the first two series, essentially, just because the play calling from McDaniels is so great and overwhelming. Like the schemes, they're just almost guaranteed to score in the first two series. And then after that, like in this game, it just, they fought. They had Jalen Hurts again with a pick six, but I'll get to that in a second. But the Dolphins, they're soft. They're a basketball team. And the Eagles came and they punched them in the mouth and they took the game. And now we'll get to the Eagles. So they only scored one touchdown. That's the first thing. So they did get shut down to a certain extent. But I really think what they were missing was those Tyreek Hill plays that they missed. And then Tua just kind of, Tua got sacked a couple times, and I think that really threw him off his rhythm. And seen a couple just weird things, like where he went to scramble and he just sat down. It was awkward, very weird and awkward. But the Eagles, they still don't look right. I can't jump up and say that the Eagles are back, blah, 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 because they beat the Dolphins. It's like, no, like, this is paper, rock, scissors, and you had a good matchup here, and they still didn't look right. Like, let me see, what did Jalen Hurts end with? Jalen Hurts ended with 23 for 31, 279, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. That was a pick six. And really, they didn't get going until they just decided, hey, let's just throw it to A.J. Brown every time. Can we do that? Can we just throw it up to A.J. Brown and let him make plays? Yeah, you can. You can, especially when it's the Dolphins secondary. They don't have their two best players. They don't have Xavier Howard, and they don't have Jalen Ramsey. And it's like they just woke up and realized, like, oh, yeah, let's just throw it to A.J. Brown every other play. How many targets? He ended up with 15 targets, 10 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah. That'll do it. Just give him half the targets. Every other ball is going to A.J. Brown. Good luck. And it just seems, I don't know what it is. Why? What's going on? I don't know if people have been talking about Jalen Hurts is banged up, and he did have a couple runs. And I've been saying it all year, which looks like stuff that he used to do where it's one-on-one on the outside, and I'm gonna try to make a move or try to make something happen. It just seems like he just is declining. He's just running out of bounds, or I mean, he doesn't really slide that often. So mostly it's just beating a guy out of bounds. But yeah, he just hasn't looked right. Hasn't looked right. The offense has been struggling because he hasn't looked right. He threw another pick six. That's 2 pick sixes back to back, and that was bad. I don't really understand what he was doing. He just threw it right into a guy. Kind of the same thing with Justin Herbert, where it's just I wonder if some of it was just like I've been saying, you don't have Shane Steichen in your ear to kind of not even reel you back in, because it's the opposite of maybe just giving you the confidence to kind of just go out there and throw some of those bombs, or toss it up on a scramble. It just seems like that stuff is gone, and Jalen Hurts just doesn't have it right now, and they're just such a good team all around everywhere else that it doesn't matter. Last year, it felt like, we felt a lot of people, most people felt like he was carrying them and he was awesome and he was one of the best players in the league. And now it's kind of reverted back to, okay, a guy who's kind of struggles to throw the ball consistently, is struggling to throw the ball consistently, and now you're taking away his ability to make big splash runs or do any of that, or be, not even just explosive. It's just kind of not there. And that's kind of just where the Eagles are right now. I don't, the top 10, what was my top 10? My top 10 was Chiefs, Niners, Eagles, Dolphins, Lions, Ravens, Bills, Browns, Bengals. And yeah, to me, this week didn't do a lot to move that around. Maybe move the Lions down, maybe move the Bills down. Bengals didn't play. There's a lot of weird. Like I'd have give me another week, or give me another 2 weeks, and I'll come back with another top 10. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you download and follow the show on Spotify or Apple. Follow me, Carver2X, on everything. The Carver2X Show on Instagram to find the clips. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoy the show. See ya.